Start the map with your wheels not turned. Starting straight will allow you to get the maximum acceleration. You can immediately turn after you've begun driving, but do not start holding the side arrow. Hug that wall as close as possible, and straighten out on this dirt section. Pay attention to the gear up, that is when you can start to turn. Hug this and try to get as close to this right wall while full speeding as possible. We want to be as high on this edge so that we're as straight as possible through the transition between angles. This is that straightness. See how close we are to that wall and how straight we are in our transition? And as soon as we transition, we want to change directions as hard as we can. If we can go left a tiny bit here before straightening out, we want to. It'll give us a little bit lower of a drop. Keep in mind, though, that you have to turn left here to make that happen, and then you have to turn right to straighten out to get a nice angle on this drop down. And that can be really hard to avoid some wobble and land wonky. We need to be landing mostly straight, but mildly right so that we can make this next turn. You're going to be wanting to turn almost as strong as you can, but align with your trajectory so that you don't skid too much. You'll lose a lot of speed, and that will hurt your time. Be careful here, it's very easy to slide out into the wall. If you're noticing you're sliding out into the wall, you didn't land straight enough and pointing right enough in that last jump. If you also tilt up wheels here, just be careful that you let off a little bit of your right turn so that you don't skid and slide and lose some speed. This section is one of the hardest. You want to get a pretty tight line here, and you'll want to make sure that you countersteer to go straight right before you go off the ledge. Watch my inputs. Once you get here, you're going to want to try to figure out your angle and get as straight of wheels as possible. Losing speed here is a big deal. We're going to be in the rally car soon, where acceleration is 0, or at least very low, and all the speed we gain here will carry through that section. You'll notice I get a little bit of a speed slide here. I'm not entirely sure if it's necessary, but it does seem to help get closer to that AT. If you're comfortable with speed slides, go ahead and use them here. You can get a very, very small overlap, and that's as best as we want. When entering this section, we want to be pretty straight, and we want to turn on action keys. Whichever action key works best for you, but I have the tightest action key on. I'm on controller. We want as small of taps as possible. If you notice here, I have basically let off my joystick, and I am very, very mildly tapping. Here, let's see if I can get... Well, there we go. The mildest. As we enter this section, we want to make sure we go to the left, and we make sure that we don't get any airtime if possible. The world record here has a speed slide throughout this, but I'm not that good at speed slides. Consider trying one if you're good enough. Rather than going through the chicane and jumping over the wall, if you come over on the left, you can drop down sooner and faster. Notice how close I get to that line, and I'm straightening out here. I do a mild air brake so that I get a very clean landing. I'm going to go a little bit left here before turning right, just to give me an extra tighter apex here, because the next section is going to be dirt, and we're going to want to be as straight on that as possible. Here's the dirt section. Notice how I'm as straight as I can be, and I straighten out again, because any turning on this uphill might mean that we get airtime, which we don't want. But as soon as we get up over this turn, we're going to want to do a hard right to try to line up for the best section of this next part. I find that it's pretty easy to aim for this tower when you're in this section. If we go back a little, we can start to see that tower appear. We can aim for that tower, and that will give us a good line on where we want to go. I managed to get a speed drift here just ever so slightly, but lose it pretty quickly. It's pretty hard, but try your best to try it as tight as possible here into the finish. And with that, you're going to pull up a 43.535, and we'll get author time. Good luck and happy hunting.